Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Butchester. You know what I like to do on my show. I want to enlighten you. I want to inspire you. I want to empower you to become your best self. Now, Scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And today we want you fired up about our music guest. Her name is Louise Cappi, and we're talking about her new project, Hope. So you know what I'm going to tell you to do. Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, Louise. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
Hi, Doc. Thank you so much, Dr. Angela, for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I cannot wait to talk to you about your new music, but there may be a few people that are unfamiliar with you or with your work. I talk to so many authors on the show, and they're going, music, we have a music guest today. So surprise, listeners, a little treat for those who follow along all of the time. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are, please?
Sure. I am a singer-songwriter and performer. I live in New Orleans now, originally from New York. I come from a family of music. My father was a very well-known jazz guitarist in New York, and so I grew up around it. And that's what, of course, sparked my interest in doing this. Moved to New Orleans like 20 years ago and started working. And then I got interested in writing more, which I had never done before. And so I started to write some songs, and I was, to my surprise, they were good. And so I went to, during COVID is when it really turned around for me, this project. I was watching what was going on the TV like everybody else, and I was devastated by the loss of life. And
Right. You know, I love, and I hate to jump in there. I want to definitely give you time to talk about this project. But the fact that you said that your father was legendary in music, I love that. You know, when we're able to share something that is so important to us as a parent with our children, it really does bond us together. But I wanted to ask, even though your father was involved and that's something that the two of you share, at what age do you think it was when you kind of decided that music was your thing, that even if your father hadn't been involved in music, that this is something that you wanted to make a part of your life?
Yeah, high school. I would say high school. Junior high, I would listen to a lot of music, a lot of jazz at 13 when my friends were listening to rock, and Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Carmen McRae, and I was like 13. But then in high school, I started to really take an interest and think, this is what I want to do. And that's where it started.
Oh my goodness, yes, you named some really, really great folks there. Those are also folks on my father's list. So I have had the privilege of listening to really, really great folks, you know, Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughan, you know, just, oh my goodness, yes, I cannot believe that that we have people that are no longer with us, but still are making such a profound effect on others as far as music is concerned, that they're still inspiring people. You know, they're still getting people up in the morning saying, you know, I want to do something like that. I tell you, There are some really amazing jazz artists out there. I know someone
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Don't forget John Coltrane and Miles Davis." Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we could sit there and run through the list of our great jazz and blues artists out there. So I love it. I love it. Now, the title of your project, Hope. I love it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, anytime someone wants to talk about hope is always a good thing, as far as I'm concerned. But how did you come
Yes.
about the title for this project?
Okay. Well, and I know you're a pastor. I have a degree in theology, and a few years back, I was uh, I worked at the hospital, local hospital here, Toro, as a chaplain. And one of the protocols we had to follow, or we didn't have, that we would do when we'd see a patient was, there were a bunch of things, but one of them was to ask them what gave them hope to get out, especially like if you were in the oncology section of the hospital. And and then we'd let them talk. What gives you hope? And then they would say, well, I dream of going back to work, or I hope to see my grandkids, or I hope to live another year. And so that's when I watched the TV and saw what was happening around lockdown. I thought right away from my training as a chaplain, and I thought, how can I affect people out there? And so I just followed my training and thought, hope. What would I ask them? What gives you hope to get through this?
Oh, that is such a beautiful answer. I love that. As a breast cancer survivor, and I know my listeners are going, uh-oh, she's gonna tell her testimony there. Don't worry, I'm not gonna give the long answer. But when I was dealing with breast cancer, you know, my life verse of Jeremiah 29:11, I kept saying, no, there's a hope and a future, you know? And it's like, you are so right. And everyone has heard me tell that story, that there has to be that piece of hope that you're holding on. And what is it that's going to move you forward? I love that answer because it's true. It's absolutely positively true. And especially for oncology patients, wow, I'm so glad that they gave you that protocol, or you know, that you took it on, understanding that they're saying do this, and then with your education deciding that this is the way that you're going to tackle it. Thank you for that, because people that are going through that, they do need to have a sense of hope that there's someone who believes that they're going to be okay as well. So oh yeah, that's a amen moment right there. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I know that your dad was involved in music, but how has your family really have they played a part in your music success? And if so, what were the things that they did that helped you? I know I have said many times, just, you know, sometimes a husband making sure that his wife has coffee, or, you know, kids giving mom that quiet time to write, that's how they've been able to contribute to the success. How has your family contributed to your success?
Well, my children are grown now, and that's one reason why I was able to do more. The years that my kids were little, I did not go to nightclubs, and so my career was on hold because I wanted to be there in the morning with my kids before they went to school, and make breakfast and all that. But they were always supportive, and I would sing for church, or I, you know, stayed involved that way. But so now they're older. And they have been. I have a 37-year-old daughter and a 31-year-old son, and they're very supportive. They come to my shows now when they can. And my husband, though, he is the rock for me, and he's very involved in helping me move my career along, to coming to gigs and helping set up to calling for bookings. I mean, he just financially supporting things. He's my love and my friend and my partner, and he's been very supportive. And his faith has gotten me through. At times I had to lean on his faith, and it was always there for me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And you said a really important thing there, and I think that some people need it to hear that, and that is the financial support. And I know that folks are going to say, well, he's the husband. Of course he's supposed to do it. Well, there are some people that unfortunately their spouse does not have that understanding of when you're trying to make your dream come true. Sometimes it may be a little more responsibility may fall on someone in a certain aspect until you're able to get to that point. And I think that many folks that are self-employed, all of my solopreneurs out there, entrepreneurs out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There have been times when you've had to step up a little bit more while your spouse has pursued their dreams as well. And then you sit back and you look at it, it's all a beautiful thing, because then it all becomes even again. So, shout out to him and all of those spouses out there and significant others that understand that sometimes that's just a part of it, and that's how you show support to that other person. I love it. I love it. Now, what has been your reaction from folks out there to your Project Hope? Now, I understand COVID is still amongst us, so we haven't been able to get out there and really do those face-to-face activities and concerts and all that you would have liked to have. And I'm hearing that more and more from folks. But with that understanding, what type of feedback have you been getting from this latest album, Hope?
It's just been phenomenal. I'm amazed. I really am. It's topping charts all over the world. Euro indie music charts. I was in the top 100. In South Africa, for a couple of weeks, I was number 1 in my category. It's been blowing my mind that I could stay here in one place and all of that could be going on. And that's the good part about digital age, and so it's been such a blessing, because all I want is for people to get this message. It's more important to me than money, anything else, is that people get the message of hope. And now there are other songs on the album that I have another one called Keep That Dream Alive, and that's about addresses the people who have lost businesses and their livelihoods through all of this, and it addresses that hope. And then I have a couple of silly songs like Happy Place. It's very uplifting and fun. It'll make you laugh.
Right.
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it is time for us to go to a break. But before we do, can you remind everyone, please, what is the title of your latest project? Where can we get a copy? And, of course, how do we stay in contact with you?
Okay. Well, the album is called Hope by Louise Cappi, Cappi. You can stream it or you can download it on all major streaming, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube. You can, all of them. And you can also find me at my website, which is louisecappimusic.com.
Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of this music. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Butch-Chester. My guest today is Louise Cappi, and we're talking about her new album entitled Hope. Now, Louise, my next question for you deals with the various ways that we get to experience an artist. I know that you guys do in studio, where you go and record and you make it happen in studio. But then we also get to experience the version of you that you give us in live concerts, that kind of more one-on-one, even though it's, hundreds of people around or thousands of people around, but more of a one-on-one experience. Can you tell us how do you like each one? Or are they the same thing for you? Are they different? What are the pros and cons, if you will, of each experience?
Well, studio, we get down to business. We're all usually are in different rooms, and it's not glamorous. It's work, and it's redoing things and trying to get it right. Live performance is the cherry on top of the, ice cream. It's because you've done all your work before you get to that stage. If you haven't, then you're in trouble. So performance for me is wonderful. It's fun, and you really have a chance to reach out to people and play around with them a little bit and feel the room to see. That's what I do anyway, see where it's going. And so that's the fun part of it all. All the work happens way before you get there.
I like how you described that the studio is the work, and we have to put the work in, but the live performance is the cherry on top. I love that. And I think most people would agree, because as the listener, as the fan, we do appreciate the work that you've put in studio to give us the song that we're listening to. That's what we fall in love with. But boy, is it a cherry on top when we get to experience you live. Yes, I love that. Oh, wow. Thank you for painting that picture. Now, you said that you live in New Orleans. Do you think that, as someone who has the wonderful flair that New Orleans gives us, do you think that has influenced your music in any way, or just how you view living life?
Oh my, yeah. New Orleans it's got its own personality. It's a fabulous city. We have our, bad points like every city does, but it is full of culture, great food, people are friendly, the music just rolls out into the street, and I learned a lot. The musicians are very, what's the word? They're very generous. And I learned a lot early on when I first got here, and I watched a lot, and I learned a lot. And a lot of the artists are very flamboyant. You have the Mardi Gras Indians, and you have the brass bands, and you have the jazz artists, and you have Zydeco. I mean, there's just so much. And so it's a fabulous city for music, anyway. For me, it was, and for everybody. Everybody was homesick.
I think that most people would agree with you, and especially those who have visited New Orleans. When Katrina happened, one of the things that I heard was, of course, other than the, how do we support all of the agencies and organizations that are trying to reunite everyone and make sure everyone is okay. But then after that, the main thing that I heard was, you can't let the culture of New Orleans get away. That New Orleans has its own, and I love how you're saying that, it has its own personality. And as with any other city, of course, it has its pros and cons, its ups and downs, but it has a personality that you cannot find New Orleans anywhere else. There may be people who have lived there and gone on to someplace else, but just collectively, it is so beautiful there. And you're right, that comes from the people who are there. So I have to agree with you. Now, we were talking, you were kind of hinting about it a little bit earlier, and I want to definitely give you a chance to talk about that. And that is the songs that make up your album, Hope. I know for many artists, they have a song that really speaks to them, and they're able to present it to the world, and you go, oh yes, we know that one is in fact special. Then there may be some that have been with you for a really long time. You know, you may have written the song 20 years ago, but it's now just coming to the forefront. Do you have any particular songs that resonate with you any particular way, or it was really fun to have written it, or it's really fun to perform it? Tell us a little bit more about Hope.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Well, of course, Hope, the single Hope, the song, that we released it in July, and so it's had a lot of play. The album itself is coming out September 10th, but the other songs on the album, there are a couple of serious songs. They start out serious, but I never leave people there. It always resolves into a positive, because that's my belief system. But some of the fun songs I wrote a song called Happy Place. We had a great time with it. There's another one called DQ Guy, which is a play on GQ Guy. And that's about just the normal guys out there who are doing the 9-to-5 and taking care of their families. And they may not look like the GQ magazine, but they are fabulous, you know, and it's funny too. It's a fun song. And so we tried to mix it up that way. By the way, I had a great producer. I want to give him some props. He, Paul Longstreth, took what I wrote and the musicians, what we worked on, and he took it to a celestial level. And he's also my son-in-law, but an amazing musician. So that's the album. It's heavy and light, you know, and it addresses a lot of what's happened in 2020.
I like that. I like that. And you know, I like when an artist takes the time to take us as the listener on a journey, even if with each song it's a different tempo, a different pace, a different flavor. I think that's fun. You know, I don't want an album that sounds like it's just one long song, you know, like each song just so folds over into the next one. So I love that you were mindful with that, and you had that forethought to make sure that it's a journey out there. So that's great. Now, I know that for so many folks, be it that you are an author or you're an artist, you want the world to open back up again. Recently, Stevie Nicks canceled her concert tour thanks to COVID, just trying to be mindful and keep everyone safe. And I think that that's where most people are at this particular point in life. It's like, let's just be safe. So prayerfully, 2022, we will be able to get back to things, and everyone will be able to mingle safely without as much worry and concern. With that being said, what do you hope to do in 2022 as far as your touring is concerned and getting things back to normal?
Well, you know, we want to do the Hope Tour. And we'd like to go, I'd like to do the Northeast, tour the Northeast. There's some clubs up in New York that I have performed at a lot before COVID. and then of course, move out, maybe Nashville. And so we want to do some touring to, get this album, out there. And, but it's a challenge. And so, we have gigs booked for October, and I just pray, whatever God opens the door or whatever. If he shuts the door, then it's right. If he opens it. And so I just leave it to God, and we'll see what happens for October.
I can definitely understand that, and it is such a hard place where we are right now when it comes to planning and trying to figure out what are we going to do. The same was true for me with Daily Spark TV, trying to decide, do we do the face-to-face interviews? Do we do in studio interviews, or do we keep it virtual? So you are so right, wanting to get back out there, because you can't beat the energy of people when you are having that live experience. It is definitely something that is a bonus for us, I think, just being able to feel the love and becoming one with your audience. Now, as far as accomplishments are concerned, you have done some really awesome things. And like you mentioned some in the beginning, you have been number one. You are listened to by an international audience. But is there any achievement in particular that you would say is perhaps your greatest achievement, or is there anything that has happened in 2021 that has really kind of hit you in a special way, simply because we have been so limited due to COVID?
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, I believe, and I don't know where the scripture is, but I know the scripture where it says a man's gift or a person's gift makes room for them and brings them before great people. And I pray for my sphere of influence to grow. And so, because, not for my ego, please, but because, like I said earlier, I want to touch people and help them heal. So, one of the things I really wanted to do was, I wanted to get into, it just happened recently. Well, actually, it hasn't come out yet. It'll be August 16th. I have an article in Downbeat magazine, which to me is like, the top music magazine. My dad had an article about him in the 60s. And for this to happen to me is a huge blessing that God opened the door for that. And I put it in God's hands. I also, I would like to be nominated for a Grammy. And nothing is too big for God. So, especially because I feel my heart's in the right place. And so that's a dream, and I hope for. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I love that. And you're right. I believe it's like Proverbs 18, somewhere in there. That is true. And I think that when we understand what we have been given, we operate in that calling. We operate in that gift much more differently than someone who doesn't understand the gift that they have been given, that talent that they have been given. And it sounds like you want to definitely not only operate in it, but to make sure that the world gets an opportunity to experience it. And I love that. I dislike it when folks don't understand that they have been given a something to share with the world, and they hold on to it too tightly. Kind of like the story with the guy with the one talent. It's like, come on, guy, don't do that. It's like you have so much to share, and you are definitely operating in that, and I love it. Well, my last question for you, because we have about a minute left in the show, and that is, and you've kind of hinted at it, how do you think that your faith has made a difference in creating the person that you are today?
Oh, it's all God. He's my number one. I every day try to train myself to keep him in the forefront of my mind. And because I know he's directing my path, it says in the word, he is the greatest promoter. He's my father, he's my promoter, he's my everything. And if I stick close to him, he'll take any of us that do that to higher ground.
And absolutely. And what a great thing to end the show on. I love it. Louise Cappi, thank you so much for coming by and spending some time with me here today. Now, before I let you go, though, can you remind everyone one more time, what is the name of your current album? Where can we get a copy? And, of course, how do we stay in contact with you?
All righty. The album is called Hope. You can get it on all the major streaming platforms like Amazon, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify. You can reach me at louisecappimusic.com. There'll be a link there to my Facebook and to my Instagram as well. And was there another question? What else?
I love it. I love it.
Right,
yes. Thank you again, Louise, for spending some time with me here today on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. And listeners, thank you for spending some time with us here as well. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.